And here we are, organics to organics, or qualitative analysis in the lab with me, your teacher. And we're going to go through 7 different tests and see a visual for what happens. So our first test is called Hydrazine Test, for short, or we will call it by its full name. It's a tongue twister. 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazine. There we go. Just hydrazine. So we do for each test, we take something. First container is the butanol. We add 1 drop. Now butanol, we all know, ends with OL. It's an alcohol. This is a test for aldehydes and ketones for a double bonded O. And then we take butanol. The AL ending means it is an aldehyde, and 1 drop will do. So only something with that carbonyl group, an aldehyde or ketone, is going to react. So now we add to our 2 clear solutions, our 5 drops, and we mix them. And only the aldehyde or ketone is going to react. So the noise is because we're doing this in the hood. So the hood helps to keep the aromatic smell down. But you can see one of them, they both turn yellow because what we're adding has that golden color, but only one of them is cloudy, and that's a precipitate, and that was our aldehyde. So what you write for your notes next to the butanol, it just stayed, I can say orange and clear, and sorry, for the alcohol, for the aldehyde, you'd say orange cloudy, precipitate. So next to the aldehyde, now pretending like we don't know what it is. And if we have an unknown, we tested it. We figure out what it is. Perhaps we should do that. Perhaps we'll put you on pause and go find an unknown. Hold on, I'll be right back. Well, we're back. So, we're doing the silver mirror test, or Tollens test. It's for Dr. Tollens, who figured this out. And so, this is a test for aldehydes. It's an oxidation test, and as we've learned in class, or we will be this week, so by the time you watch it, we will have, alcohols can oxidize. Thiols, we're going to learn oxidize, and aldehydes. So those are some things we're moving towards. So for right now, we're talking about aldehydes. Aldehydes, because of that position of the double bonded oxygen, it's extremely easily oxidized. It's one of the issues with so much sugar in our diet. And so, this test is a very gentle oxidizing agent, very gentle, silver nitrate. And the only thing that it will oxidize is an aldehyde. And so it's a test that tells us we have an aldehyde. So, we're going to test an aldehyde and a ketone. So, test says, let's take 2 milliliters of our silver nitrate solution. So, silver nitrate, that's somebody kindly made up for us. And we'll put it in our test tube. And I have to fix the camera so you can see this exciting. It's much more exciting than watching me. And then we add 1 drop sodium hydroxide to each of our test tubes. All right. Oh. And that test tube, test tubes, look at that. We made mud. So I used to do this demo in front of the whole class, and I'd have a big container, and the joke is we made mud. It's kind of like where we're at sometimes in the middle of the term. We all feel like we're in mud. Do this meditation. It's part of your 7-day challenge if you take me up on this. And so I was on a 7-day retreat. I now do it every time I go on the 7-day silent retreat. And so there's a thing, I don't know if you noticed, you get an email from me. There's a lotus, and so lotus is this most beautiful blossom, and the lotus has deep roots, and always roots in mud. And so from the mud, because we all have mud in our life, comes the most beautiful blossom. And so there's a famous saying, no mud, no lotus. And so I had one of those days when you're in silence, you have a day like you can't believe. And it was one of those days. So the first few days, you get rid of all the riffraff, the normal stuff that's going on. Everybody thinks we're all dwelling in. And then you get into this blissful place because all that noise is gone. And then that deep noise that we have buried deeply away, it comes up. That's the mud. So there's this little stream, and I just had an attitude. I took off my shoes, and I went, and I stood in that stream in my silence, and I was just like, I'm the stick in the mud, like in your own head, because all you're having is conversations with yourself for 7 days, and I was a stick in the mud. And I stood there in that mud, being a stick in the mud with an attitude. A stick in the mud with an attitude. That's quite a stick. None of you have ever been there. Anyway, that's what's going on here. By the way, the lotus blossomed, and I have quite the giggles thinking about it, and wiggles, and jiggles. Anyway, you can think about that if you're doing the 7-day meditation. We're going to start adding, it says 2 to 5 drops at a time, but, and we're trying to dissolve all the mud. There's a much easier way to do this. Keep going. All right. Oh, the smell of ammonia. It just looks like it's getting muddier. I think this is what my students go through, and I'm like, just keep going, just keep following the directions. So, if it never dissolves, what if it just keeps getting muddier? I know what my problem is. Look, the camera even went off. We're gonna pause. I'm gonna pause so you don't have to watch me struggling here. It didn't pause. You're still watching me. You know. Okay, I'm back, and it started over again. Like I had to start over again. So, remember that mud we had? The mud, we were sticks in the mud. None of you are sticks in the mud. You're all beautiful lotuses. But this is what we got. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see yourself in there. And so we get this beautiful silver coating. And this one, well, it's no longer a stick in the mud, but it didn't make a silver coating. So this one was acetone, which was a ketone. Fingernail polish remover. And this one that made the beautiful silver mirror, that was from sugar, glucose, because sugars are aldehydes. And these are still sticks in the mud. All right, what's up next? I think we need to go back to the hood. It's gonna pause you because one of these days when I pause, it's gonna work. Oh, we are filming. I'm so good at this. I should go to Hollywood. Or Bollywood. That would be more fun. Alright, so we're back in the hood for the acetyl fluoride test. We're testing for alcohols. So, in my first tube, let's look at the test tubes. I have an ether, ethyl ether. I have butanol. I think it was one butanol. It's an alcohol. Unknown C, unknown J. Let's see what happens. As you're pondering, why didn't I do the Tollens test with my unknowns? So they got me a brand new bottle of this just for you guys. And oh, you guys can count my drops for me. So, wow. You see that? Really nothing. But if if it's an alcohol. Oh, that's an alcohol. It's quite warm. It's like a little warm, hand warmer. See our unknowns. See, it feels warm. Oh, Jay doesn't. Very dry test tubes. So we got alcohol here. One that we know we have. And our unknown C, I think it's an alcohol. Let's see. All right. What's our, oh, so just follow me. Just keep it here. We're back to the test tube. A little bit less noisy. And got too many cords. This is just ridiculous. All right, how about unknown C? We are going to do 2 tests to see what type of alcohol we have. We have the Lucas test and, you know, not very important. So the computer screen just went blank and you guys were gone. So it was a very exciting test, and I just realized I keep putting the camera on me, and it's not about me at all. It's about the test tubes. So we did the what's called Boardwell-Wellman test. So Mr. Boardwell and Mr. Wellman. Definitely it's probably a Mr. because they ain't let women in lab. We can kind of see why today, can't we? So this was our, the stuff that we add is orange. You can see that in here. So if something turns orange, it means nothing happened. This is the tertiary alcohol. This is a test to tell us we have something that oxidizes. So our aldehyde turned a funky orangish color. That green, this is the test for what I was wearing today, my gnomes. So the green tells us, it's camo green, that it's a primary, secondary alcohol, or it was an aldehyde. I just wanted to try the aldehyde because I'd never done that before. So the only one that didn't react was the terbutanol. Anything that oxidizes, we can get it to oxidize. Now again, the Tollens test that we did like 5 videos ago, Joey's going to have fun splicing this all together. That is a very mild oxidizing agent and only oxidizes aldehydes. It's a definitive test that you have an aldehyde. This test just tells us something can be oxidized. The Lucas reagent was a much nicer test to tell us what type of alcohol we had, but I will tell you from experience, the Lucas reagent, usually when we do this lab, we're lucky if even one student gets it to work, because that Lucas reagent is really tricky to get it made up just right. Whereas the Boardwell-Wellman, we know we have a primary, secondary, we know it can be oxidized, but we just don't know which category it's in. We know we have it, rules out tertiary. All right, well, shall we move on to the saturation? Now we're going to add the bromine. You guys know what happens, right? So you're going to turn orange because bromine's orange. So if it turns orange, well, my unknown, nothing happened. Okay, this is cool. That one, nothing happened. You guys see? Yeah, I guess I did add the bromine. Immediately. That's the thing that's really cool about chemical reactions. They happen so freaking fast. It's like, as soon as the bromine touched it, it was gone. Okay, we're going to pause. So I know we all have those Ethernet cords and stuff. Why do you think they called it ether? Makes you ponder. I mean, they called ethers ether because they made you unconscious if you smelled them, like Curious George and your teacher. Made them actually unconscious. All right, what am I adding? 1 drop. This is all just a dream. And then 5 drops water. Oh, we have a winner. Oh. Well, I say, let's see. You know, this one is definitely a rose red. My unknown. Well, we might have a winner there. And then the ether, kind of, it's like a deep orange, but it's not the rose red. Oh, that's because we heated them. And the unknown, well, you know what? The problem with the unknown, it's not as rosy as this one is. Maybe we have to do the HCl fragrant unknown. It just has this brown precipitate. Oh, well, it's definitely, it's different. It's like this deep blood red. What does it say? Wow, an intense wine red, bloody red color. This is like extremely iron-rich blood. Totally looks different from the ether. I think we have a winner. I think unknown J for Joyce. Sugar and spice and everything. Maybe you remember. Oh, we're not going to have enough test tubes. What am I supposed to do? Now we're going to add 20 drops of Lucas. Now, one of them reacts immediately. Does anybody remember? We're going to know. That was 20 drops. That was 20 drops. That was 20 drops. Oh, we got a winner. I was a little worried because if this isn't made up fresh, it doesn't work. But one of them reacted immediately. The tertiary. The others, nothing's happening. So, we're going to put it in our hot water. And we're going to see. And while they're heating, secondaries will turn cloudy with heat. The primary takes like an hour. So, while it's heating, let's just move on to the next test. We need 2 more test tubes. Let's get rid of our tertiary. It's really cool cloudiness. You guys can even write out the reaction. It's an exchange reaction. The alcohol and the chlorine. Oh, something happened. That was fast 5 minutes. Look at that. Nothing happened with the primary. Wasn't supposed to. Well, look at that. Ooh, and you can't even see they're a little bit funky. I think we got a secondary alcohol as our unknown. Unknown C has been classified. So the Lucas test is actually an awesome test to know what type of alcohol you have. We're going to do